Oh, dear Swami, thank you for guiding us and joining us tonight as we take the opportunity to learn from each other regarding the Gita Vahini, as we've been doing for the last year. And we look forward to this next session with your guidance. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. We have an exciting program put together. We're guided, as we all have been, on our monthly journey with our keynote speaker, Dr. Suresh Govind, hailing from Malaysia, bringing his sage advice and infinite knowledge, which we've all benefited and learned from. We have a group of a total of 10 facilitators this evening to guide us through this. And Brother Samarth and myself, Amit, will be sort of navigating the journey of our information sharing with Dr. Suresh. Today's session, we're going to focus on the theme of what do we do with challenges. Life is filled with chaos and conflict, and how do we understand that? How do we bring clarity to that? How do we bring a little bit of a deeper vision with some understanding? With a quote here that I'll read out: "When conflict breeds confusion, questions seek clarity." And we're going to do a deeper dive into this and look forward to learning from each other during this the next hour and a half. It's meant to be very interactive. We're going to be engaging with Dr. Suresh throughout. We will be having a breakout room meant to get active participation, and feel free to jump in with your ideas and thoughts. Please feel free to use the chat box, and we will certainly incorporate everyone's thoughts and ideas. We'll move on to the next slide. So just as we get started on this discussion, it's always worthy to take a moment and reflect on the past. Within the Gita Vahini, which is Swami's description with his infinite knowledge of what happened in the Bhagavad Gita, we learn a lot about the Atma as a key spotlight or highlight in chapter 2, which is the area we're on in the Gita Vahini. And we've spent the last 4 or 5 months doing a detailed analysis of the Atma and understanding it with the principles of it being immeasurable, indestructible, eternal, unmanifest, and immovable. And for those who are interested, we have, and may have missed a session or two, they have been recorded and are on the website as well. And a lot of very interesting information came out of that. If we move on to the next point, when we talk about the Atma, we are often clouded in our lives with that dangerous word we always hear about, the ego. And in this sort of metaphor or this diagram, the prism here represents the ego, and this ego causes confusion, and it splits what we understand as the Atma into doubts and anxiety and fear and instability. So it's a lesson for all of us to how do we improve by getting rid of the ego and focusing ourselves on the Atma, which is the eternal journey. So that is a brief recap of where we have been. Recently, we had a retreat, and at the last session, we had a very good review from people who had attended and described some very practical pearls that were learned from that as well. I'll just pause for a moment and ask Dr. Suresh, would you like to comment on anything on our previous review before we move on?
Sai Ram, dear brothers and sisters, by the infinite grace, love, and compassion of Bhagavan Baba, we are here in this beautiful satsang. Again, it's so nice to keep on diving deeper and deeper into the subject. I have nothing else, Amit. This is very good, fantastic. What you have summarized is excellent. And also that prism is what the whole idea is. If you remove the prism, we can continue to experience the beautiful state of beautiful state of Atma. But if we if we keep the prism, then we see everything in different colors, and that's where biasness and perspective comes in. And then the reality of the world, reality of the situation is being reflected and reflected differently. So I think this is a beautiful way in which how we can learn how to reduce this ego so that we can experience Atma. This is the essence of what spirituality is all about. So thank you for bringing it back again to the subject, and let's now continue. Thanks, Amit.
Perfect. Thank you. So we're going to dive right in. We're all living in a world of complexity. There's a lot of challenges, a lot of conflicts, and we're always trying to look at these challenges and conflicts and say, how do we bring a resolution to it? How do we clear things up? How do we make sense out of this chaos? Some of the things that when Brother Samarth and I were putting this together, we're looking at some themes or patterns that we're seeing in society, and perhaps it might relate or resonate with some of you. So, a few of the thoughts that came to our understanding was there's a significant amount of anxiety and a significant amount of depression that is existing in our current society, unprecedented amounts compared to before. And we have to ask ourselves, why is this and what can we do to improve this aspect for ourselves, for our family, for our loved ones, for society, because it really has a great impact on oneself and the family members around them in these situations. And in particular, it's affecting the youth significantly. Another theme that we've come across is a lot of issues with sleep patterns, a lot of disruptions for that, and that's a complex topic. Why do we have disturbed sleep patterns from, again, perhaps some anxiety or stresses of life. It might be we're distracted by screens or other things. Moving on to another theme, reduced physical activity. As a society, we've become a little more lazy, a bit more inertia. The pandemic, we've recently recovering from that, and that kind of created a phase of perhaps some reduced activity, and so we're rebounding from that. A lot of technology is being used these days, and that comes with the price. There's the pros of technology and the concerns of online harassment, whether you're in working, whether in university, whether in high school, and even unfortunately in elementary school, we're seeing a lot of cyberbullying, a lot of challenges in the world. And the reason we sort of bring that quick theme up of some of the challenges is we want to see, you may relate to one or two of these, and what are, we're going to come to what are solutions. Or just, it's always worth to sort of highlight what is the problem, what are we talking about, what do we want to relate to, and then how we can address that. With that, I'll pause and turn it over to Brother Samarth for a moment.
Thank you, Brother Amit. Nice to say salam, everybody. Really excited to be part of this session today. And yeah, last 2 points like addiction and constant need of validation. So there's something really fresh experience that happened a couple hours back with me. So I went from Chicago to drop someone who came from India to US for the first time, and midway with some, because he's going to Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. So we're having a lunch, and he said, I don't watch TV anymore. We were talking about one of the shows, comedy shows of India, Kapil Sharma show. And he said, I don't watch TV. And I was really impressed, like, that's nice, nice. And then he's talking about so many other things. And then I asked him, like, if you don't watch TV, how do you know all this? Oh, I'm on the phone all the time. So he's a portable TV. The mobile phone is a portable TV now. So that's addiction. And I was like, okay. And that, that's something that, you know, is there, but we don't realize at times when it's being pointed out. And that addiction, I also realize maybe I'm doing the same as well because I don't watch much TV, but maybe phone sometimes. But in addition to that, there's a constant need of validation. I think that is one of a bigger issue that before what we thought we have learned from our mentors, from our parents, from our community, spiritual text, we knew what was right and wrong. But today we want people to say like it or love it. So that becomes, very tricky at times that we doubt ourselves, even we know we are right. So, and as Brother Amit rightly said, with like, we have still seen and experienced so many things, but with teens, kids, we are very new to this idea and concept, and that takes a lot of time from them as well. And the last point for the mental health, they're like, I was reading in the news last week that there are 5 states in America, they're suing TikTok because they could sense in one way or the other the effect in mental health of teens. So that tells like this is for real, and how we should not use that so much, or how we can use that energy somewhere else. And the last point, before I hand over to Uncle, is like this: in the screen you see that light, right? But that light is not the light of spirituality. That is the light from digital screen that actually does an irreparable damage to our eyes as well, which no one talks about. The blue light. Okay. Said that, what happens? We get confused because there's so much information out there on one topic that somebody's saying this, somebody's saying that, and that sometimes leads to like information overload. And here's one Mentimeter. Before we go to Uncle, maybe we all can put in our anonymous answers and see like how it comes up. So I'll actually put a link on the chat as well. You could click there, or you can scan, or you can just go to like menti.com and put a code 12491206. We'll give you guys a minute, and then maybe you can just put a couple keywords that you want to. Maybe a couple of thumbs up or yes could say like you guys could join the Mentimeter. That would be nice and helpful. And I'll open the Mentimeter as well. Perfect. Okay. Can someone from the facilitator like try to respond just to make sure it's working? Oh, perfect. There you go. Perfect. So much to do, less time, lack of gratitude, anxiety, peer pressure. There you go. Need for validation, correct. Restlessness, faith, less time, lack of gratitude, prayers, self-doubt, discipline. Amazing. Alertness, watch movie or take rest. That's a good one. Yes. Worry. Nice. Chaos. Wow. Beautiful. Perfect. While this is coming, I think we can hand over to Uncle if Uncle wants to, uh, share his thoughts on this and give us some expertise. Uncle? Or too much laptop?
Uncle, if you're talking, we can't hear you yet.
Yeah. Maybe we can unmute him.
Yeah. Yes.
No.
So tell me, I mean, what do you think of this? What do you think of the reaction? What's your opinion?
Uncle, yeah, go ahead, brother, please.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Some, I guess, starting off with themes, it's always good to look for quick themes, and I think we're seeing time as a theme that's a common theme within like several of the ideas. There's a couple of themes of like anxiety, worry, restlessness. So there's themes of anxiety in terms of conflicts. There's a theme of time, um,
Yeah.
a lot of, work related and peer pressure related. So there's some themes coming through.
So the main question now asked is, when these conflicts happen, we need to now understand at which component of the human personality that this is largely affected. So you will notice that most of this that happens is it is always related to the mind. You see, the mind is compromised. It's like a virus inside there, lack of hurting, knowing dharma. All this is related to the aspect of the mind. And when that is the mind is affected, the conflict will now you don't have the clarity anymore. When confusion come and conflict come, clarity is disappearing. Clarity comes only from the the higher realms of the human personality. So these symptoms that you see that the conflict is always an expression of a symptom, which we are not able to see what it is. So all this is affecting the mind. Now the question of the Gita is, how do you upgrade the operating system? That's all the theme is. How do you upgrade the operating? Because only when you upgrade the operating system can conflict be erased and you can set clarity. You can see this is how this whole system is affected. You see. So now the question is, if that is the one that is compromised, then Krishna, what Einstein said, consciousness. Unless you create a solution from a higher consciousness, we will continue to see the same problem. So this is what the whole aspect is. So people who are in this, we must understand, whatever conflict in this world, whatever confusion you are having, mind must quickly say, hey, all this is happening, this is all affecting my mind. So I need to make sure my mind is going higher. Not go and focus on the problem, go and focus on the mind. So this now clearly demonstrates what Arjuna was suffering from. Makes sense?
Yeah. Thank you, Uncle. Very well said. The mind. Totally agree with you on that one. Brother Amit, you want to move on to the next slide?
Yeah, I think that's actually a perfect segue
Yeah.
into the next topic that it's like you can read our mind with what you just said. So
Yeah.
that's impressive. So when we went through this looking at the image here, where there is a lot of effect on the mind and mental conflict in the world that we live in. And one of the things that we are dealing with is this revolving emotions. And we go through this in life. Monthly, weekly, daily, hourly. 1 minute, we see it in ourselves, we see it in others. 1 minute we're ecstatic, 1 minute we're depressed, 1 minute we're angry, 1 minute we're confused. So there's a lot of emotions that we're dealing with, and it does resonate with what Dr. Suresh is saying about the mind, and we have a lot of these mental conflicts that we sort of refined a bit into. Some is just finding the balance between work pressures and life. There's some I've already mentioned validation as a theme, particularly on social media. We like to think that we're immune to that, but we put a message out and only 10 people liked it, not 50 like the other friend. We get caught up in that world. In our careers, are we doing it with some purpose in our career? Are we just doing it for the financial gain and we've lost our sense of purpose? And again, mental confusion. Relationships are confusing. Back in the day, it was very personal, it was tangible, it was genuine, it was real. And with a lot of communication being digital, there's been a huge shift in how our relationships are, and they're a lot more fragile than they used to be. Emotional swings we already talked about. In life, we have our goals. We may have a long-term goal, but it may be, I want to be healthy. I've got this long-term goal, but I don't necessarily follow through on it. I just want the end result of being in a healthy state, or I want to learn how to play an instrument, but I want to put the effort in. So a lot of challenges that we're dealing with in life.
Do you want me to continue, brother?
Yes, sir. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are some we see on day-to-day life, but they're once little spirituality as well. And sometimes they are like, abstract. We don't go in that great detail, but that's encapsulated by just an idea, which is like spirituality versus materialism. At times we don't realize we have a conflict going on between what do we value more in terms of time and putting our energy. Then we have the faith versus doubt. Like, Lord Krishna said, and Swami says, why fear when I am here? Then, why does the mind, as Uncle said it very rightly, the mind plays games with you all the time. So why would doubt come when you have faith? Which also leads to surrender versus control. What was the whole essence of Mahabharata, Lord Krishna was trying to explain to Arjuna. And also like external chaos versus inner peace. So all these conflicts are there. Sometimes we realize, sometimes we don't realize, but that's where we have this session. So have more clarity how we can change these conflicts to clarity. So in this one, same Mentimeter, I'll just move to next one. So we are just trying to see if you could relate certain conflicts in your life. And in the Mentimeter, I'll just go to the next slide. And this is, okay. Give me 1 second. I think it might be a poll. Okay. Yeah. So maybe it's a poll, so it's going to be easy. So you just have to click a button what you think, or maybe two options to see like what do you relate or you actually experience in your life. Work-life balance, faith versus doubt, instant gratification, or purpose versus profit. You see people liking it. Thank you. All righty. That's we see some responses. Thank you. Yeah. If somebody is not able to access Mentimeter, they can feel free to type in on the chat. You can type your option on the chat as well, so we can just keep that in account. Okay, so work-life balance is climbing up, brother.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Instant gratification. Yeah,
I think too much of expectations.
Okay, thank
Too
you
much
for
of expectations.
yes, very
Like
nice.
a desire.
Thank
We
you.
have to live a simple and quiet, down-to-earth life with unconditioned love.
Great.
Like, see yourself in others.
Thank you. Yeah, great.
No conflict at all. Right.
Thank you for sharing, Sayam. Totally agree with that. Yeah, we see a couple responses here. Thank you. So let's see what Uncle can tell us about all these, and I'll hand over to Uncle.
Yeah. So you can see what supersedes everything is the faith versus doubt. Can you see?
Undoubtedly, Uncle, yeah.
So actually, in every one of the other aspects of it, also you find the second and the third and the fourth issues will always somehow or other come back to the first one. In every situation, what happens is we are needing an higher operating system. You see, that's why I use the word higher operating system. Faith is a higher operating system. I know I got it. But when the doubt, who creates the doubt? The mind comes in. So you see the mechanism of how we work. Whenever we are wanting to be clear, whenever we want, the mind will come inside. Yeah, how do you know? Will it happen? How will you know this happened? See, the mind will come and disturb us. So we have an autoimmune mechanism inside our system because that mind will self-inflict and make sure that we create a doubt all the time. That's why we cannot cross to the faith. So the clear mechanism is that you should let the mind recede. You should allow the mind to keep quiet. You should allow the mind to move down. Then you find that intelligence will be holding on to something. That faith is about holding on to something. If you have that, the doubt won't come. Once you have that, you find that there's no more problem. In fact, instant gratification or purpose versus profit work, whatever that other issues that you possibly have, other themes that you may have, The clear thing is faith. That's why Swami said self-confidence is the clear thing that gives you self-realization. And somebody asked, how, Swami, should we create self-confidence? Baba said, you must have faith. Then Baba said, how you develop faith? You must have love. So this process is how you create strong faith in us so that we can proceed. So it's very clear. So now from the experience of your Mentimeter session, it'll very clear to what the whole point is. Yeah.
So I just have a small question, Michael, to follow up before we go to the next slide, since we can see faith versus doubt undoubtedly number one throughout the responses. So I believe we all have faith, but then why does doubt knocks our thought process at times,
From
and
your from
we
the
stumble at times? Why?
From the doubt comes from your, number one, from the past karma. Prarabdha karma comes in to disturb it. Number two, your culture. Number three, surroundings, circumstances. Because don't forget, your senses have been continuously receiving information from the rest of the world. So when it continuously receives, you continuously habituate yourself to a certain pattern of thinking. Now you upgraded your system. When you upgrade your system,
Right.
then you'll find that in the new upgraded system, the old system keeps on coming back. Just as if you go to a new place and sleep there, next morning you get up, you're lost a little bit.
Right.
You have the whole habit of the previous room, the bedroom that you are used to. When you go to a new hotel and you sleep there for the first time, and you find that when you get, "Hey, where am I? Where am I? You are totally lost. Why? Because the pattern in your head is referring to the old experience. So these old experiences is what that tells the mind, come on, jump, come on, do, come on, can. So these habits, this is why we need to continuously do our sadhana, so that the whole habits do not disturb us, all thoughts don't disturb us, all past habits don't disturb us, so that we can cling on to the faith and move on.
Very, very well explained, Uncle. Thank you. That was my, I think, personal question, but I think that applies to lot of us as well. So really appreciate it. Thank you. So let's go to the other slide. Give me 1 second. Okay. Brother, you want to do the first part? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, now that we've identified some of the challenges or problems that we can relate to, and we're trying to see what can we learn from a spiritual approach, what can we do to make it practical to these challenges, and it brings us back to where we're starting from. So we have the Bhagavad Gita and we have Swami's reflections of what happened, and in this particular case on the battlefield, and we have that vivid conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. So what happened there is that Arjuna brings forth his challenge, and from that challenge we learn. And his challenge is on the battlefield, and his challenge is very mental, and as we know, he was almost paralyzed with fear of the battle, and he's a warrior, and he was supposed to uphold dharma, and he was supposed to uphold righteousness and fight for what is the right thing to do, and in his duty and his responsibility. He was, in his analysis, he was like, how can I fight with my blood? How can I fight with people that I respect, people who've taught me, who've made me who I am, and was very concerned with the role that he would play in this, and saw it as that even though he's a warrior, that harming those that he loved and cared for and made him who he is was a big challenge. So that's how he analyzed his challenge. And then the beauty is what Lord Krishna taught Arjuna, and therefore we can learn from that. And I'll turn that over to Brother Samar to explain this very creative answer that Lord Krishna gave us.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Amit. Yeah, so obviously, if you see in this picture, we have Arjuna, we have Lord Krishna, and then we have the worldly things wrapping around Arjuna for not doing the right thing. Did he know what was the right thing? Yes. Then what was stopping him? His thought and other things. And what was stopping his thought? Maybe his surroundings. That's exactly what Lord Krishna did. That's where he told him, like, if you understand the challenge from a different perspective, first you have to, as Uncle said, you have to go to a higher essence first, and only then you can solve a problem. You can do at the same level. And that's where he explained everything what he already knew, but with a different perspective. And also, told him to look at different alternatives or solutions. And that's where it clicked in his mind and other things. That happens with us as well. Sometimes we put ourselves from a third person's point of view, we change our perspective. It happened with me. My personal experience, I remember my one of our clients used to say, application is the boss, or whatever you work is the boss, and family is the boss. And my wife was supposed to go to Atlanta, and my son was he was like 2 years old, and it was a 2 months job. And she said, there's a project, I want to go, I might go. First I said, you know what, it's going to be hard for me to manage everything, so maybe you can say no. And she said no. Okay, we had a little argument, and she said no. Okay, that's fine. But then I realized family is the boss, do what is right for the family or whatever. And then I said, you know what, I'm sorry. And if we take that aspect of rules, that what is right and for whom, I think it should help all of us. Said that, I'll turn over to Uncle, and maybe I know he'll do like much wonderful job than us to explain with more great knowledge.
Oh, Samrat, I think you both of you are doing such a wonderful way of bringing the subject to focus. Really good, very nice.
Thank
See,
you. We're learning from you.
what plumbing system, water plumbing system, something is wrong. So you telephone the plumber. Plumber comes to your house. When the plumber comes to your house, he's now going inside, he's opening his toolkit. When he opens his toolkit, he takes out all these tools. Each tool he's doing, I'm so sorry. I wanted to bring the thing. This is not working. So he takes out another tool. Oh, that is too blunt. He takes out another tool. All his tools are not working. Then the owner asks, excuse me, I called you for a problem and you are supposed to be having the tools. And then how come you're not able to solve? Yes, I know. I thought I had the tools, but look, it's somehow not working. I really need to come back again. That's strange. If you're coming to solve a problem, you should necessarily have the tools. If you don't have the tools, how will you solve the problem? You're very right. Please forgive me. I'll come back again with the right tools. In the same way, the teacher is now saying you're supposed to fight the war. When you come here, you must have the right tools. What is the right tool? Mind must be sharp, intelligence must be there, available to you. All these things, then only you can fight. You are coming here and unnecessarily looking at your mind, and the mind has become attached to the thing. Mind has become confused to the thing. Your tool is not with you. What kind of person are you? You don't have the tool to fight the war. That is the issue here, because you didn't bring the right tools to the field.
Well said. Wow.
You understand? So therefore,
Yes.
the teacher is not scolding him. Teacher is only sharpening the tool, making him aware of what necessarily he need to sharpen his tools so that he can fight the war. That's the entire rehabilitation process. So this is how we should see. That's why you see the answer you can do your duty without attachment. So what's
Yes.
the problem? Attachment. Why? Because I'm killing my cousins. I'm killing my this. Why should I fight? What is the necessity to fight? He's asking these questions. Means the mind has become confused. So the confusion is mind is a tool. The key message here is mind is a tool. I should be necessarily having the tool to meet the challenge. When you are confused means your tool is not there with you. That's all. The mind has decided to go left, you are going on the right. So if you're taking a dog for a walk, you should take a dog for a walk, not let the dog take you for a walk. This is the problem with this. The dog is running and you're holding on to the leash. Dog is going wherever you want to go. And then you are crying, oh, what a pity, what a life. It's gone. That's why we say it's gone to the dogs. Because the thing is, it is driving us in the same way. The teacher is saying we must become the master of the mind. This is the
Right.
summary of your whole predicament at this point of time.
Great, great. Thank you, Uncle. That helps me also personally, your answers. Okay, perfect. So let's go on to the next slide, brother.
Awesome. Yes, I enjoy your stories and examples and metaphors. It makes it relatable for all of
As I
us.
said, learning from Uncle.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, please.
So we've been talking about some aspects of the theory of the Atma, and sometimes it can be a little confusing. It's just we thought we'd take a moment and speak to understanding the Atma and the Dharma that comes with it. But one of the beautiful sayings that Lord Krishna elaborated, we took a point to write it down, and he says to Arjuna, "You too are as eternal as the Absolute. Seen apart from the limitations, the individual is the universal." And at the end of the slide, we're going to ask you what you believe is the meaning of what Lord Krishna is relating to. While you're thinking about that, which we'll ask in the Mentimeter, I'm going to start with the first picture where we are going to use an example. So learning from Dr. Suresh, he uses a beautiful example. So in this particular scenario, Lord Krishna describes that if you imagine a jewel, you know, what is the jewel? What does it represent? Before the jewel existed, there was gold. And the gold is the essence of the jewel. And then we move on to the next picture, and we have the jewel itself. So what consists of the jewel? Still, the essence of it is gold. And then things can change, right? You can adjust the jewelry. It can be what happens after the jewelry has been changed in its form. It's still gold. And that's the theme that was beautifully explained and trying to bring it back to the Atma. The Atma, or in this case, the gold persists in the same way, body or no body or changing of body. And just a beautiful analogy to bring us back to the understanding the principle of the Atma. It can be described in different ways. Sometimes we hear it described as there's a drop of water and it merges back in the ocean. So the cosmic, you know, the individual Atma and the cosmic, that sort of theme. Or a spark when there's a fire. The spark is the fire. And sort of trying to relate to understanding the deeper Atmic principles. But with that, we'll again enjoy another Mentimeter question, which as I mentioned earlier, is what do you feel? What is your understanding? What do you think Lord Krishna is trying to explain by the quote above? You too are as eternal as the absolute.
Slide for a minute and then move on there.
Yeah, in case you need to reconnect to the Mentimeter, there's that. And in case you're using the website, it's the code is 1249-1206.
Yeah. And if you can connect, you can type in, you can speak. We are open. Yeah, that's so true, brother. While we're getting responses, like, see, okay. You are the Atma, not the jewelry. Correct. Yes.
Sairam, I think he's trying to explain about dharma, the truth. It has to be done, whether he likes it or not. It is there that he has to follow. Sairam.
Thank you, Sayam.
Thank you for sharing. Beautifully said.
Perhaps as the responses are rolling in, this is a deeper quote, and we'll ask our famous Malaysian guru, Dr. Suresh, to see if he'd like to comment on what's coming through here.
So it's very nice to see the comments and the experiences and the perspective that we have. This is a very deep question, and we need to establish that. Someone gave $100 to somebody, and then this person picked it up and squeezed it and crushed it and really crumpled it and stepped on and then threw it on the floor and jumped on it and stepped on it many times. Then he took it up again and then now unfolded it. So he asked, would you want to take this back again? Would you want to take it back? And the guy said, of course, it's still $100 US. That value doesn't decrease. In the same way, whatever circumstances that we are going through in life, however lashes and thrashes that we have gone through, however suffocations that we have gone through, but the inner value of each one of us is not diminishing, nor is it related towards what has happened to you, because you are eternally gold. Atma is the highest power. It doesn't move anywhere. So the inspirational stories are people who disconnect themselves from the crashes and the lashes of how the mind goes through and reconnect themselves to a higher order of thinking and the emergence of such a butterfly from a miserable caterpillar is what stories are made of. That is what this whole story is all about. So the whole thing is when the teacher is telling you that you are jewel here, you are jewel there, you are everywhere, you are the jewel, it simply implies that even when I make the gold into something else, it's still gold. You don't change yourself. So this today's session is about, hey, that's what Baba is telling. I am God. I know I am God. You are also God. My job is to make you realize you are God. That's the bottom line of it. We are Atma, the eternal, immutable, unimaginable. And it's one of the most powerful operating systems we have. Then why is it that miserably we continue to live in this world thinking that we are the mind, we are the small, finite self? That is what this whole Gita is about. Do you know people read Bhagavad Gita and keep Bhagavad Gita, pray to Gita, and continue to believe in the Krishna and all that, and still be sad and depressed and despondent? And that is what the paradox of it all. A spiritual person must have the cheer of the face and know, nah, whatever happened, Atma is there. And that kind of spirit must be there. That is what this entire session is about.
Great, 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 Uncle. Listening to you, I'm forgetting what I'm supposed to do next. Seriously, I should have written somewhere, I guess. Thank you. Trust me, we have so much to learn from Uncle, so much to share. We have an exciting event as well. So, we'll go to next slide from here and we'll catch up because I know Uncle has a lot to say in the next couple of slides. So, brother, you want to start and then we'll continue. Brother Amit?
So what we have all learned is that Lord Krishna uses practical examples. So, we're talking about the Atma. We're reflecting that it's eternal. We understand the theme of the Atma being indestructible. We learn the theories, but then we develop this attachment to the body, and that's where we get caught in the illusion or Maya of the universe. So, one of the examples that Lord Krishna had used in one of the scenarios was that if you have a health problem that's an internal problem, and you use a cream that's on the outside to try and deal with it, it will not work. So it makes sense. You have a liver problem, a heart problem, or even a kidney problem for that example. But putting a cream is not going to help. So there may be treatments and there may be health problems, but they have to align, and you have to use the right treatment for the right situation. So that's logical. Similarly, Lord Krishna describes that you have to use the most effective drug whether it be in health, but specifically in life. In life, when there's challenges, conflicts, problems, we have to bring a certain wisdom to it and bring a practical spiritual approach to it. The theme that's come across a couple of times, and we may repeat it in slightly different words throughout this discussion, is the fact that there are the two sort of steps. There's the challenge and there's the problem, and then there's sort of looking at it from a solution point of view. Whatever challenge that we may have in life that we perhaps highlighted at some of the examples at the beginning of this session, or whether it be Arjuna on the battlefield, it's looking at the challenge and not impulsively reacting to it, pausing, thinking about it, reflecting upon it, analyzing it, but analyzing it from different angles, different perspectives, and have a deeper understanding of it. And then once we have that, then we also look at, not just one solution. The first solution that comes to mind is a deeper reflection on what are those solutions, and then choosing the one that is best. And in the particular example of Arjuna, I think one of the things that I think we understand in concept and in theory, but we would all have similar problems to putting into practice, similar to Arjuna. Not that I'm anywhere near Arjuna's level, but he was relating to the attachment of the body. That destruction of another body, is wrong and amoral from his perspective. But when it was brought back to, this is a path of righteousness, it's a path of good versus evil, and standing up for principles, and destruction of another person's body is not destruction of the Atma. And that was a very different way of analyzing it and a different way of looking at a solution.
Perfect.
Amazing.
I just want to add one thing here. So I remember when we use Google, I haven't done it recently, but yeah, whenever we do, as I said, first reanalysis of the challenge, we don't do that. We just want a solution. So if you just go to Google, you say how to, you will see like 10 options. But if you do why, you might not see 10 options. We all want a solution. We don't want to understand the problem first. If there's a solution, let's just take it and move forward, right? So that's very interesting that we should reanalyze the challenge again and again. And I'll hand over to Uncle.
Yeah. So very nice. I really like this extra a cream to heal internal problem. I think this is actually what the whole problem is. You see, sometimes we keep on applying the cream and applying the, why am I not getting a solution? Why am I not? Hey, you apply the external cream, it won't work. It's like even sometimes we are so good in it. For example, an ophthalmologist, when someone comes with a broken leg, an ophthalmologist first looks at the eye, okay, and then say, okay, is the eye okay? Hey, my leg is, I know, but I'm eye specialist, so I just want to see first from the eye perspective. Excuse
Very
me,
sad.
my leg, my leg is the problem. It's like, I know your problem, but listen, I want to see it from my perspective. So therefore, he starts the eye drops. And so you can, or you are trained to see things in a certain way, and you want to view the problem in that manner, you will never get a solution. So the whole idea of Krishna is telling is that this whole subject is about not only offering you a a solution, but ways in which you should think of your problem so that you can get to the solution. Meaning, in life, there is always a solution. It's just around the corner, but you need to get there and see the corner. So therefore, the key message is, hey, I should never become sad, depressed, despondent. I should never get confused. Confusion tells me that I have not reached that corner. That's all it tells me. It doesn't tell me that I should be overwhelmed by a problem. So this ability to have that equanimity to see things in the right perspective is what spiritual wisdom is all about. So when you use the word spiritual wisdom, Lord Krishna uses the most effective drugs. What spiritual wisdom? To have the equanimity to know that I have not reached a certain point in which I can see the solution. Maybe it's just around the corner. It's my time to go and walk there and then look at the corner rather than sit here and worry about it. This kind of thinking is what brings rationality, sensibility, and sanity to yourself. The world is going to go more, by the way, the problems are going to be much more in the years to come. More conflicts will arise, more diseases will take place, more wars will happen, catastrophe. All this is going to rise up now. Economically, so what do you do? So we should look at the problem. Don't follow back the same old model of thinking. We have to upgrade our system and see things in the right manner and approach it with optimism and enthusiasm.
Great. Thank you, Uncle. Very well said. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So I think we'll miss this Mentimeter because we are keeping track on time as well. And it's really exciting events. That's going to take a lot of time. So we'll skip this one, but this would be covered later in the session. And that lands us to a very important slide. Brother Amit, you want to take it from here?
Thank you. Yes. So I think when we look at the Bhagavad Gita and being part of this group has been enlightening because it gives us the opportunity to pause and read and have a more understanding. We learn of a term, Sankhya Yoga. And just as a quick review of this, some of you may have a deep knowledge of this, but just to catch everyone up, it reflects the concept or the topic of just having knowledge. And from this knowledge, we can develop some clarity. So within this yoga of knowledge, what's important is to learn to focus on what is real and what is lasting, not just what is visible. And then within the subcontext of this, it's understanding the self, which we're talking about, reflecting on the Atma. The knowledge also involves developing some detachment. Within all of this, there's an intellectual sort of discernment, and it comes down to a clarity in thought. And this is very important for us. It also acts as a foundation for other yogic paths, and we're going to come to that as well. And in integrating the Sankhya Yoga into your life, you gain a foundation, you have self-awareness, it helps you face life's challenges with clarity and peace. I mean, when we look at this, sometimes it doesn't have to mean that every single challenge that we're talking about in this discussion has to be this life-altering moment. You know, I mean, of course, when we're looking at learning from Arjuna, we're on a battlefield. He's on a battlefield, sorry, and you know, it's a very specific moment with a lot of gravity to the situation. It is literally life and death. And so it doesn't mean, what we take from that is that there are challenges and how we learn in a spiritual way how to approach things. And we can apply it to the different intensities of life. And I think every moment, like literally every moment, we're having mini challenges, and sometimes, on some regularity we have a medium challenges, and once in a while we have these massive, challenges in life. So and it's just a matter of bringing some logic, bringing some knowledge to bring some clarity to it. So like even I was listening to Brother Summer giving an example of what happened today. So I'm just thinking as I'm talking, what happened today. Swami's birthday celebrations are coming up. So in the Detroit Psi Center, we have our usual routine of for the kids having SSE and then the bhajans, which end at 5. And then for preparing for Swami's birthday, there's all these extra practices which occur outside that time. So it ends at 5 o'clock. And then, the practices were going to be 2 to 3 hours. So I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, oh gosh, we've already booked this once a month session. And Brother Samarth and I are putting this together, and we have to, get online within a certain timeline. And the Detroit Psi Center to where I live and on the Canadian side in Windsor is an hour drive. And I'm trying to map this all out in my head. And, now it starts to get a little confusion and there's a little bit of stress involved. Like we have an accountability and responsibility to be at Swami's birthday preparation. And then there's an accountability to this group, and you're trying to figure it out. And just like, don't panic, don't make an impulsive decision of only we'll pick one or the other. It's sort of like, okay, talk to the organizers and say, listen, can you help us out here? Can you get the practices that I'm involved with, the kids involved a little earlier? We can perhaps leave a little earlier and then be on time for this. And then with just, not a life and death situation, but a challenge. And we use a little knowledge, we use a little focus, we pause, we look at solutions, and it doesn't have to be all or none, all or none. You find these hybrids, and often we can find solutions with that.
Great, brother. I'll have Uncle speak a little about this, and then I'll speak something and move on to next slide because both are interrelated. Uncle, you want to add?
Yeah. So no, I think you can't add better than that. It's very nicely said and beautifully conveyed. So the people in this audience, I mean, the participants must understand or must acknowledge the fact that the Sankhya Yoga, every issue that you possibly have, every confusion is because we are lacking the knowledge. That's all you need to know. The fact is, when that's not necessary for all of us to have all the knowledge all the time. That's the first point that sometimes knowledge will not be accessible to us. Like Arjuna was, not that he was a person who was totally ignorant, he's a very spiritual guy, but at that point of time, he forgot. And many times in our lives, we also forget certain things, including myself. When I'm telling all these things, sometimes when it affects to me, that momentary loss of that memory which you had is also part and parcel of having this human experience, so to speak. But the key thing is that Arjuna, what benefit he had was he was always with Krishna. So Krishna was available to him. The moment he lost temporarily, he reminded himself what it is and all that. And Arjuna recalled, and therefore he is back again on the battlefield. In the same way, the continuous proximity with our Guru, our Master, continuous association with his teachings, and continuous wanting to live his life is your accompaniment. That is, accompaniment must be very strongly embedded. So that hopefully by his grace, that whenever confusion comes in, whenever problem comes in, we have the grace to remember his teachings. So Sankhya Yoga is clarity through knowledge, the yoga of knowledge. We must now continuously program ourselves that there is a higher system in us, which is the Atma. Our point is that we must now reach that level of awareness in which we must go through and experience that. In order for us to have that experience, we must now see what are the principles involved. Just as a doctor who's now treating a patient must be able to, a doctor who's having the patient must have the ability to make sure that he recalls the 5-year experience of MBBS. Otherwise, he cannot recall, isn't it? If a patient is asking, and then, doctor, what should I do? Or let me see. And then he takes his textbook and all his MBBS curriculum certificate. And then he looks at his MBBS certificate to remind himself, hey, I am a doctor. How do I know I'm a doctor? Because see, my certificate is with me. Then patient will lose definitely his confidence. In the same way, we must we must continuously recognize our ability, our competency, our knowledge. It must be at our fingertips. That is grace of God. That at the right moment, at the right place, right knowledge must come in. To do this, we have to continuously acquaint ourselves. Even the peaceful times, we must continuously remember all this and keep on living this life, so that when the problem is there at us, we are able to, like arrow, pull. We are able to pull from our back the arrow, pull from here, and then able to shoot. So all your information and facts are behind here. So you must be able to do like that. So this ability to pull from the back and shoot is Sankhya Yoga, clarity through knowledge. So we must have the principles of what it means, what its essence is, and continuously acquaint ourselves with this knowledge.
Very, very. Thank you, Uncle. That's really helpful. Before going, I just want to add something that's going to lead to the next slide as well. So, how do we use this Sankhya Yoga in one way or the other, one of the paths in Bhagavad Gita in our lives? So, I'll just share a small experience, and that started from in September when we had this spiritual retreat. Satya Science spiritual retreat. So, I have sweet tooth. I could eat all the ice creams and sweet things in my house, if not my community, and I can prove it. So I've been trying since childhood. So I've tried so many things: 7-day GM diet, 10-day only smoothie challenge. I've tried Gym Nima. All those things could be possible, but no, it just doesn't goes away. So fasting and everything. So I know I should not eat it. Obviously, as you grow, you grow in age as well. You gain more wisdom. So when I know something, then why I'm not able to apply it? Or like we were doing a Veda class last week, and we were chanting that Veda, and the Veda teacher, she explained the meaning of that particular mantra, and then you can connect more. I think that's what is like clarity through knowledge. When you reanalyze, you contemplate on that, you put your scenario in that one, it might actually change you. I literally prayed to Swami, I'm tired. Either I'm only going to eat sugar, or you take care of it now, please. And then we had Uncle in that session, and he was explaining about how mind tricks you and how you can do that. And that knowledge, when I could that feel that knowledge, I had that clarity, and that led me to at least understand why I should not eat sugar. But the other part, I should not eat when it's right there, actually leads to Buddha Yoga. So, which is not possible without Sankhya Yoga. So, Buddha Yoga is more that once you have analyzed that information, you have figured out in your context what is that thing I must do or must not do. But when that time comes, the yoga of wisdom or yoga of buddhi has to be put in action. So if I must not argue, I must not raise my voice, or I must not react to certain things. That knowledge converts to wisdom upon thinking, analysis, contemplating, and then it becomes action, or actual action that, when we do that. So that really helped. That's the essence of Buddha Yoga in my sense. And it's been like 2 months. I've been eating at least 70-80% less sugar, and I don't feel like eating that much now, because I think it really got like so well settled in my mind that I don't feel like eating that much now, and that's a very big achievement for me. I thank Uncle a lot about that, and Swami for doing that. So said that, maybe Brother Amit can explain the other points, and then we'll go to Uncle. Do you want to add something?
So I think you were talking about the last couple of points on the slide.
Yeah. It's just something you want to add. Like I just gave the overview. I thought maybe Uncle will go in more detail, but do you want to add something before Uncle?
I'm okay. I'll
Okay.
I think in the interest of time, I'm watching the time.
Yes.
I'll let
Thank
Dr.
you. Yeah.
comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uncle, it's all yours.
So Samad, your experience of the sugar thing is a very powerful experience. See, that is
For
what,
me, yes.
yeah, it is for you. Well, see, it's a problem, but it can be sorted out. But you had a readjustment of your relationship to sugar by the right knowledge, which is the
Yes.
Sankhya. and you enshrined it or embedded it onto the intellect, and the intellect now is like a navigator guiding you. So now next time when there's a big huge piece of cake, your system will tell you, hey, watch it, watch it, watch it, hey, watch. So this already like regulating. Once it starts regulating, your experiences in the world will be much better. Number two, you'll be far healthier. Number three, you'll be more alert. Number four, you'll be more productive, just by that small little adjustment, isn't it? So this is what the whole thing is about. The point of the story is that whatever it is, understand. That's why Baba always said, first understanding, then adjustment. First understanding, then adjustment. So understand the whole thing with reference to the problem, and then readjust it back, and then adjust your life according to that. You will find everything will be very smooth. The highway will be very fast. Problem is that we think we understand, and then we continue our life like that. That's where the issue is. So this pseudo imagining that we understood, just as I always say, wearing white and white with a vibhuti on the forehead does not make you spiritual. It's just a label. It is just a costume. But we continue to think that that is the end result of spirituality. Means cannot. When you go to a petrol station, your objective is to pour the petrol in the car and go to your destination, not park the car at the petrol station. So now what we do is that what we have done is go to the petrol station, park the car. So we are not using the knowledge in the practical sense of the word. So this is where we are. That's why sometimes when people say, "Oh, this is too hypothetical, too theoretical, it's absolutely the way they are seeing it is absolutely not the right way of looking at it. This subject matter is the essence, the real DNA is the battery of how the handphone is supposed to work. Without a battery, you can have 1,000 applications, but the battery is what that gives it life. So that is what this whole subject of Sankhya Yoga and Buddha Yoga. So the essence is, whenever there is a problem becomes a teacher to teach us. Problem is a teacher to teach us whether we are understanding the problem. Number two, whether we are reconnecting to higher order of thinking. Number three, executing seamlessly for the solution. So this is what the problem is. So a conflict is always a teacher.
Great, Uncle. But just a follow-up question, Uncle, like as you said, and I also said, but I was able to do that for sugar, but I'm not able to do that for so many other things. Then how do one becomes more streamlined as a generic concept than just really into just one, application of it?
Yeah, because the reason is the sugar is giving you the pain. Pain is a teacher. When I take high amount of sugar, you can see the consequence about it in your life. You are able to sense the pain. You understand? So the pain is a good. In your other circumstances which you're referring to, you did not experience the pain. So the pain is not teaching. That's why the pain must teach you. But it's that it has not come to that painful level. But when you continue the same tendency and trends in other places, you will somewhere along the way you will experience that pain. When that pain comes in, you will adopt this sugar approach in that particular problem. But don't for you to experience the pain. So now the buddhi must come in and say, hey, if I go continue like this, I will fall down. So if I don't want to fall down, so now I readjust my life. So sometimes that's why Confucius say, intelligent people, fools make mistakes, but intelligent people learn from other people's mistakes. See?
Correct. That is well said. Yeah, that is so true. That's always tricky though. Like even knowing so much, as you said, like pain, we don't have to wait for the pain to actually tell us that there's something wrong, and learn from others and your own wisdom, and not even go that path. That would be nice. Okay, so we can go to next slide, Brother Amit, and then
Yeah. I think the next slide, again, Dr. Suresh, you're clairvoyant. You can predict our next slide. So we were looking at when we were reviewing this approach, Brother Samaranth and I, how do we look at a challenge? How do we look at a problem or a conflict? What can we deal with it? Because often we look at a problem as just that. It's a problem. It's a challenge, and we're a victim, and we struggle with it. We might give up on it. We get upset about it. But as you just kind of pointed out, look at it differently. Look at it as what can it teach you? What can you learn from it? And see each problem as a teacher. And there may be some practical aspects. And just to be brief about it, it might reveal different perspectives. It actually can build some like personal resilience. You can have a deeper understanding of the issue. And we do learn a lot about ourselves. And maybe just to throw out a personal example, sometimes you have a challenge with someone at work or let's say even at school. And so you get into this challenging situation. and then you're struggling with how to deal with it. But in the moment, often what happens is if there's someone that is impacting you in some way, usually what happens at one level is you end up having to perform at a higher level. You have to be a better version of yourself. So one way to look at that sort of situation is to say, okay, because this person is doing this and I have to work harder, or, in the moment, oh, this sucks, this is horrible. But then you say, that's interesting because I'm working harder, I'm learning more, I'm gaining more, I'm offering more, I'm a better version of myself, maybe helping the people that are my clients in a better way. So that may be another way that we learn what a conflict can teach us, just as a quick personal example.
That's true. Well said, brother. I just want to add one thing here. So we promise we have an event as well. We're looking at time, so we'll make it more engaging. So maybe like any audience has any question, they could put it on the chat. We'll try to address a couple of those, Uncle, and Uncle can maybe address a couple of those. So please feel free to post any question. And to follow up, Uncle. So, brother, as you said, right? So, what can a conflict teach us? So that's the thing, Uncle. So how do the conflict basically we get is like maybe we are being judged sometime, or maybe we have a certain approach to things. We are maybe criticized, or maybe we are mentored that what, this is not right. Maybe you do it that way. That's the human element of everybody and mind as well. So in one way or the other, I think everybody in the audience might have experienced something similar. So how do we deal with these type of things with all these tools from Bhagavad Gita like Sankhya Yoga, Buddha Yoga, and understanding conflict in itself, which is the essence of this session, the first session of conflict to clarity?
So the analogy will be in an examination hall. You're sitting there, you are taking your pen, and now the paper has come, and you're looking at it. The first question. Now you're supposed to answer that first question. The first question is staring at your face, and then you suddenly realize that conflict, that the question is now a conflict. The conflict is now looking at you. What is the conflict teaching you? Number one, do I know the answer? I don't know the answer. So what does it mean? It's teaching me that I should have been a little bit more disciplined. I should have dedicated more time. I should have revised my lesson very well. I should not have gone with my friends yesterday. This is my future. That conflict is teaching me so many things, isn't it? The very fact that you're not able to answer that conflict tells me that these are the reasons why you never could able to answer the question. It's not that you're stupid. It's just that the fact is you did not do that necessary homework, that necessary work. So the conflict now teaching me something. It's teaching me that conflict is staring at me and making me realize that I have not done those dedicated pieces of action that I should do. So the conflict now becomes a teacher. The conflict is staring at me and teaching me certain things. In an examination hall, is making me realize so many things when I do not know how to answer. Of course, the next thing you can do is you can look at the other person's paper and try and copy. But the problem is that in everybody's life, everyone's examination paper is different. So there's no point copying. So your paper is your own self. So examination hall and the question is the classic analogy to this particular point that you're making. In every circumstance and situation, a conflict is a teacher to tell us. Now, when I realize what the problem is telling me, I must now revise back, I must go back, I must do whatever it is. Then I can go back to the same problem. I have my solution. I can answer. And when I pass, I go to a higher level. When I go to a second degree, third degree, when I go higher and higher, what happens? The problem becomes more complex because your muscles have now become harder. When you harder, you see, just as like gym, you're now able to take bigger thing. You don't go and take the same one kg or 0.5 kg. You take 2 kg, 3 kg. That's how you develop the muscles. So in life, as you keep on moving up, your complexity of your problems will become higher and higher. In your workplace also, it's the same. A person who enters inside will never be given high responsibility. But when you experience, you start to work, you're given so many things, what happens? Your muscles becomes developed. Once your muscles develop, they give you higher positions to handle bigger problems. So my dear friends, the point of the story is that every conflict is telling you, hey, time to grow up. B, time to learn more things. C, time to acquire information to take you to new levels of awareness. That's what. So don't you think, therefore, a conflict is the greatest teacher?
Yes, very well said. That is true. I think that's the starting basic essence of conflict, where we can reevaluate it and take it from the other, see it from the other lens, where it might contain more information than we thought of. So yeah, I think this applies to everyone here. And this is just a general question, just we have put up here, and we are getting some questions from the audience as well, where maybe Uncle can answer some. But this is more of a like, we can think of any current problem or maybe recent experience where we were judged. And how could we have applied today's knowledge, like in continuation of what I asked you before. But it happens all the time, right? It happens all the time. I know someone, you know, around this area, and that person was doing right thing what Swami has taught, that, you must stand for truth. But once you are judged, there's a mental overload and other people, consensus. When we are in a group, we are in a consensus, uncle, right? So sometimes we like certain groups because that all people in those group are in consensus of that particular understanding for a problem statement or a solution. And you cannot explain your thought process at times. Even you are right, but you are being judged. And once you are being judged, then there is a curtain in other people's mind and even our minds as well that hides the truth, and that person is taken maybe negatively, or maybe whatever he or she is trying to say is not being even properly listened by the other people. It becomes very challenging, but inside the core of your heart that you are right, based upon Swami's principle or principles of truth, you are right. So how do you engage in these type of problems? Or and that they actually the other thing, uncle, what I've seen is, like, if this makes sense, it's not the problem that is a problem. The problem is the feeling that we get, right, uncle? Like, for very long, if I have a problem with someone, that feeling is always with us. So how do we use all these information from previous episodes? We know so much, but still we are struggling in one way or the other.
Yeah, so it always goes back to the fact that when you're struggling means you still haven't understood or not known about the solution to the problem. That's why struggle comes in. It's not
Right.
about reading, it's not about knowing, it's about being. So just going through the sessions will not get us the thing. That means to say that whenever we have a problem, the first indicator of that problem is your emotional involvement. That's why emotions are very powerful indicators. So let's say you're having an argument with somebody, and that person now makes you small. So you say, don't look at the problem and tell that you are making me small. The question must be, the buddhi must be, why am I feeling small? Not that you are making me. Why am I feeling small? So what is happening? So I evaluate what did you make me remind? Oh, I'm made to be feeling small. My ego is hurt. Don't you think that then you should thank the other individual because he has reminded you you have got ego? That's what the whole purpose of spirituality is, to be egoless. And when someone reminds you you got ego, then you should be thanking them. Why are you angry about it? You see, that's a way of looking at it. That's a Buddhi Yoga coming inside. See,
Right.
that's how re-evaluating. That means everybody in this universe is very important for my evolution. And does not mean that I should only be with people who are my friends. People who are my enemy. My enemies teach me a lot more about my
Yes.
friends than, because it teaches me areas that I have not explored on my personality, things that I should learn. So every difficulty and challenge is teaching us something. But we need to have the patience, understanding, and the forbearance to understand why we are going through those things. Number two, we must also have the word acceptance. That's what the whole point is. Acceptance means this world is, I created the world, not the world created me. I created my world. From what? From my past. So when I know that the problem that is coming to me, why did you get your chemistry problem in the examination hall? Because I studied chemistry. I went for the chemistry course. That's why you're saying, if I went for chemistry course and I have an architecture question, that means it's not correct. So your chemistry question that you're getting is because I created the chemistry question because I went for the class, I went for the teaching, I went for all those processes. Now I'm finally being assessed in a chemistry examination paper. Like that, I created the conflict. I created my problems from the past lives. So when it comes staring at you, it tells you, hey, last time you didn't finish your exam, now finish it. That's what this lesson is all about. So number one, this is the practical way to reevaluate your problem. Now, so first, most important, what is that? S. What is that? Sincerity. So sincerely approach the problem. But number two, accountability. That's most important. That means now this problem is because I took upon it. And
Right.
number three, work your problem out with I inspiration. So when you start looking at that as I look at it very systematically, you find you are able to solve every problem in life. Or know that you have the capacity to solve it, but I have not done it now, but I'm sure tomorrow I will be able to solve it. You see, that gives you confidence. This is
Wow.
how you should approach it.
So just to jump in, there were a couple of questions on the chat that maybe we can bring
Yes.
out there. So if I can maybe start with one of them. So Brother Karthik asks an interesting question. How do you know the knowledge you are accessing is the right one? And a follow-up to that is, or if your solution is the right one. So how do you know the knowledge you're accessing is right and or if your solution is the right one?
Yeah. So you don't need to worry about darkness as long as you have light, darkness dispels. So in the same sense, right now, if I'm experiencing darkness, today at this point of time, I have a pencil torchlight. I open the torchlight, you see, I can see something I'm moving forward. With this limited light, I'm moving forward. But as I step forward, I find that I have a little bit more, I switch on the room light. When I switch on the room light, I become brighter. So why did I use my torchlight? To find my switch. When I put on the switch, switch on, I get better clarity. Then I come out of the room, the sunlight is there. You see, this is how so the point is, I don't have to wait for sunlight to shine on me. I first find my torchlight and move to find my switch or room light, and then I come out and find my sunlight. So the whole idea is, don't wait for the full solution to stare at your face before you make the first step. But the whole idea is to move, get up from the chair and start having the intention to do something. Clarity will be there. And then somebody will come and give you the advice. That's how life is all about. Lots of people sit in the chair, don't move anything until you get the 100% full. It doesn't happen. That's why nobody moves, because you're waiting for the full answer. That's not how to do it. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you. And I guess a very good follow-up question from Brother Sanjeev Mehta, asking if you wouldn't mind sharing a actual personal example where you've applied this learning of the Buddha Yoga and Sankhya Yoga, and if this would help a lot of people make it more real.
When W-H-E-N.
We have to mute someone there, but yeah, a personal example of applying the learning of Buddha and Sankhya Yoga.
You're asking the question, Amit?
Yeah, I'm asking the question on behalf of Brother Sanjeev to yourself, saying, if you wouldn't mind sharing a personal example where you've applied this Sankhya Yoga, Buddha Yoga, and it would help a lot of people make it more real to see how you have approached it.
I think I've told many times, my entire life is on this too, the entire basis. I'm actually a failure. I failed my exam, total failure. So by failure, I completely, 2 times I failed. HSC, I did my A levels, I failed once, and then again I failed one. So those completely crumpled we had a total system collapse, and there was no course available, money was not enough. I didn't know what to do. I was totally confused, totally nothing. So now, but the fact is, the Sankhya Yoga teaches me that yes, I'm in this predicament, I am in this problem, but I know I have to come out, but I don't know what it is. But I know. So therefore, my hope was, but I didn't lose my faith. So every time I go to the temple, I pray to God. What is it? I don't know. There's nobody who can advise me. So I'm hooking on to my faith. That's the only thing that I have at this point of time. Know that there must be a solution, but I don't have any solution at this point of time. So this is the basis of it. I didn't get drowned or despaired or this, but I did not have any solution at that point of time. But I know that I must come out of it. Then my Buddha Yoga tells me why I must come out of it. This is my Buddha Yoga. What is my rationality for coming out of it? So my intelligence tells me, why should I come out of it and then be another person just ordinary? No, I wanted to be different. I wanted to use my knowledge for the sake of humanity. So my vision started to develop. So that conflict that had there told me to, otherwise, you know what would happen? I would have passed, I would have got my degree. I would have been just another person going to work, coming back, going to work. I would have been like that, just and then use my life's purpose, entire purpose to serve an organization and sweetly live and quietly die and collect my pension, and that's it. That's how life would have been. But because I failed, I started to reevaluate the life. So Buddha Yoga tells you what is the purpose. So then I pray to God and say, oh Lord, let my life be entirely be useful. I'm now yours. That's what in Ganapati temple I prayed. I want to be yours. I don't want to be anything else. Only you. So once I had that vision very clear, then everything started to come out. Every solution came out, and today the rest of it is just what happened. So in every conflict, of course, that time when I'm having that conflict, I did not have this knowledge, but somehow when I look back at it, this is how the programming was in my system, so I responded. But now we have the formula. You have given the formula. Today's session is about approach that we have. So now everybody has that common approach. Now we should apply that. In every problem, we must be able to see this problem is going to teach me something higher. Number two, gives me greater awareness. Number three, it makes become more accountable. So therefore, the problem is not overwhelming me. I'm still tall, problem is still small. But when the problem becomes bigger and bigger, I become smaller and smaller, that's when I'm lost. That's where the depression, sadness, loneliness all starts coming. Make sense?
Yes.
Sorry, I think
Go ahead,
we did.
brother.
Sorry. I would just say quickly, thank you for that personal story. And I think that's very helpful for us to relate to. And I think we've all had those challenges. I think you said something earlier that makes sense, that when life is simple and easy, not much to learn. But when there's a challenge or a difficulty or a hard person, you learn more about life and yourself in those moments. And that makes a lot of sense. So maybe we'll move on to the next slide. So in terms of helping us wrap things up as we are in the last few minutes of this program, resonating from or reflecting on Bhagavad Gita and how can we use Lord Krishna's strategy, the homework that we have comes from looking at the two themes that we learn from, which to summarize is given any challenge in life, it's a matter of repeating and practicing the reanalysis, seeing it from a different perspective, looking at it from a different angle, and not impulsively just saying the problem I've been given is a problem. I'm a victim. It can't change. It's look at it from different perspectives. Similarly, then once we've done that analysis using logic and knowledge, experience, then we look at solutions. Just as Lord Krishna provided solutions, he looked at it creatively, looking at multiple solutions, and then assisting with guiding what's the best solution for that situation. And with a little practice, this actually becomes very, very useful for our day-to-day life. So we nudge everyone to sort of use this as the homework for today, for this month until the next session.
Yeah, we have one more question, Brother Amit, if you want to read out. It just came up. Yeah.
Actually, go ahead. I think if you don't mind, I'm just not seeing it.
So, Uncle, there's one more question, from Sister Chitra and Gita. Could you explain the significance of sincerity, accountability, and inspiration?
Okay. So whenever you have a problem, any problem from today onwards, look at the problem sincerely. Do not look at it from your perspective. Do not look at it sincerely means look at it from his perspective also. Look at it from everybody's perspective. Look at it sincerely. Number two, the problem become accountable. Accountable means you must have the acceptance that this problem is also self-created by me, not maybe in this life, but in previous life. Now it has come back again in this point. Once you have that understanding, you will start learning the word acceptance. Once you have the word acceptance, you will stop blaming people. You will stop blaming this is because my neighbor is like that. Remember, I always told you that story about that person upstairs in the flats when I gave a talk in a place 240 kilometers away. There were 300 people sitting there. So I told them any problem you can solve. Every problem has a solution. You'll always come out of it. By the time I reached back home, this lady sent me an email stating that I have a person upstairs. I was living in a flat, in a low-cost flat, and I have someone upstairs pushing the chair, dragging the chair, and that screeching noise is always hurting me. It's been done for 5 years. Don't forget, she said to me, she's writing, this problem has been going on for 5 years. I tried to stop her. She's not stopping at all. I want to shift off from this place. I don't have enough money to shift off. I can't move anywhere. I can't be, why should I be suffering like that? But you told me this problem can be solved. Explain to me how this problem can be solved. He told me like that. In the email, I mean, okay, this is a classic conflict, okay? Classic conflict. So now I wrote back to her, dear so-and-so, by the time I reached home, I saw this mail in my chat, my email. So please understand, number one, look at it sincerely, this problem. The problem is you created, the other lady has come, look from every angle, understand the problem in every circumstance. Number two, become accountable. Accountable means that this particular problem is created by me. I created, how did I create? I created the noisy thing or difficulty for this lady last life. So now she's come back to torment you. Why are you asking me this question now after 5 years? It's only because 5 years of torment you gave her. So therefore 5 years have finished. Now the gateway must open. Now work on your problems with inspiration. So start praying to her, start sending vibration and do the Honopono. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Keep on chanting 9 times in the morning, 9 times in the afternoon, 9 times in the evening. Keep on doing this vigorously and you'll find results soon. And thank you, and signed off. 2 months later, I go back to Penang. I go back to this place where I'm supposed to give another talk. And this lady comes to me. I don't know, say, do you know, remember me? I said, no. I'm the one who sent you the email. Oh my God. Yeah, what happened? Brother, I kept on doing this thing on the first month. After several weeks, the lady came down and knocked on the door. And the lady said, I'm so sorry. I've been doing this to you. I'm so sorry. And she said, why? What made you change? You know what she said? I've become a Christian, and Christianity says, love thy neighbor as thyself.
See, nice.
So now you have changed the circumstances, you have changed the situation, but simply by becoming sincere, accountable, and working with inspiration. This is how you do things. Every problem you have, there is a solution. And there's a spiritual answer. That's what Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna was like that. He gave a solution. Hey, Atma is like that. Atma. Oh, you're not prepared. Okay, he even gave alternative solution for you to understand the problem. The compassionate nature of the teacher is that you may not wish to understand it this manner. Don't worry. Why don't you understand it in this manner? Or why don't you understand it in that manner? Gave you alternative ways to think about your problem. But the fact is telling you there is a solution. There is a solution. There is a solution. So when you have a solution and you're living with hope, that life becomes inspiration. So a problem is only telling you, wake up. There is something you need to do. Just wake up. That means a problem is giving you inspiration. That's why whenever you see a professor, when someone enters and knocks on the door of a professor of mathematics, sir, I would like to see you. Yes, I have a problem. The eyes of a professor will start glinting. There will be so much excitement because come, let me see. What is your problem? There is an enthusiasm because he knows the solution. That guy is having the problem. So he'll put on the table. He'll able to solve. My God, he'll be so inspired. Yeah, any problem, come to me. Why is it any problem come to me? Because I have the solution. So Krishna, that the whole life is that every solution, and we have master solution. Bhagavan Baba is our master solution provider, but we need to access to him. We have to have accessibility to him. We must feel him. We must think him. All our problems will be solved. But to that, you must have faith. So that's why our operating system must go from your mind, which is doubting, to another higher intelligence of faith. That faith will give us rationality, sensibility, and sanity to lead a happy, comprehensive, and holistic life.
No, Uncle, that's so. Thank you, Uncle. I think I found my homework, and as a good student today, I can say I did half homework in the class because you made me teach another example of Sankhya Yoga through if you read chemistry, you're gonna give chemistry exam. If you read math, you're gonna give math exam. So why me? Why do I have a problem? Why I have really learned a very big lesson today. So this is, I think, is a good example of Sankhya Yoga in reality in your life, and Buddha Yoga would be if I'll be able to do my half part of the homework. Saying that, I think it was a great session. I'll give to Brother Amit to conclude and talking about the next session as well.
Thank you again to everyone who joined and on a fine Sunday evening and sharing your time with us and experiences. And I hope it was useful for many of you. It was a pleasure working with Brother Samarth, and thank you to Dr. Suresh all the way from Malaysia, making time for all of us to participate, learn, and enjoy from him. It's greatly appreciated. For those of you who enjoyed this and are interested, we're going to continue a session 2 with a deeper dive into Sankhya Yoga and Buddha Yoga, December 1st. And you'll have to watch the time zone. So it's 7:30 p.m. for Central or CST. So with that, we'll conclude the evening, and I'll close with 1 Om and 3 Shantis. And again, thank you.
So for those,
Oh,
part two will be a bigger dive, because the reason is now we have given that part 2 will be workshop, will be deep session, empowering session. So this is really conflict resolution. How do you manage to do that? And there is a perspective that Samarath and Amit will share for you to approach the problem in a very systematic manner in order for you to find a solution. So please, if those of you are here, I would ask you to urge your group 4 people. It's not just us benefiting, but get other people to participate, because they will find some solution, as how Samrat found a solution for his sugar. Like that, everybody will find some solution somewhere, and then their lives will be good. So this is the seva that you all must do also, that you must go and try and find people, and you yourself participate in trying to resolve your problems that you have, so that you bring it to the table next week, so that we can collectively help to solve this.
Sure. Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you again for your practical pearls of wisdom. And we will, I see a question of getting the link of previous videos, and we will happily arrange for that to happen. Thank you again. I'll close with 1 Om and 3 Shantis. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Sairam.
Good night and Sairam to all.
Sairam.